Okay, so what we're going to do now is this. So what Georgia Keith's doing, if you look at the reflection, the colours aren't, they're actually a little bit kind of darker. There's less of this kind of lighter colour, less of all these kind of mixes of colour. Okay, we haven't got the purple that's here. And that's because of, you know, the colours do alter in reflections. Water's quite interesting like that. So lighter colour appears darker in water and darker appears lighter because it's, you know, you're not dealing with light, you're dealing with a reflection. Whereas the sky is dealing with light, isn't it? So what I'm actually going to do is put some whites. Still ignoring those trees, we'll come back to those. Oh, I've accidentally picked up some blue from somewhere, but don't worry, you haven't missed anything. It's just me having accidentally picked that up. So I'm going to go into this area with some whites all over. So yes, you're painting a white area white. Again, watercolorists, you can just apply water or whites. Probably be all right just applying the water, because remember, watercolorists, your white comes from the color of your paper. Then I'm going to take a tiny touch of blue, bit of water, tiny touch blue, lovely long brush strokes. A little bit of water just to help me. Got a gap forming between the black and the blue, which I don't want. That blue comes all the way as a little line there. Long. Then give it a minute or two to dry, because then you want to do a stronger band of blue. So that's just the blue on its own on my flat brush. Gets thinner, don't bring the whole width of your brush all the way along. So watch what I'm doing. So width of my brush, width of my brush, width of my brush, and then as this starts to get thinner, so does that blue line. So I kind of want to turn my brush and then use it on its end, use like the tip of the brush just to get that last little line in. With a slight little dark blue edge then there. So again, not using the width of my brush, using the tip of my brush. Then I'm going to start with green. So again, just working that green in first of all. A little bit of water just to help that glide if you're not using like a slow dry medium. White. Again, just using fairly long brush strokes, just working that white into the green. So you kind of get that almost like a mint green color, really. Back to the green. Little bit of blue just at the top of that green mountain. So not black like we did there. It's just blue. So the green becomes a bit darker just at the top, but with the addition of blue this time, not black. So we put black in up there because it's much darker, but in the reflection, that very dark color is a little lighter in the reflection. So we see the addition of some blue. So green, white, blue, just to get that slightly darker edge of that mountain. And then clean your brush, because you don't want any white showing, and you just do the purple this side. So you clean your brush, lay white down first of all. Then you just bring some purple through that white. Then lovely long brush strokes. Sweeping, gliding brush strokes. Bring that purple to meet the green. Just going to help blend that by adding some white where the purple and green are meeting. If I just add some white and a little bit of green. There you go. Just help the two blend together there. There's just a bit of darker purple there. So Remember, to make a darker purple, just add more blue to your mix. And to make a warmer purple or a slightly lighter purple, you add red. She's got that slightly darker purple edge there, hasn't it? Taking my purple. Again, because I've just been using my purple, I can do this little mountain here. Very similar to how we did up at the top. Taking the white, taking the purple, and it's just that, giving it that slightly darker edge. Long brush strokes. I know I keep saying it, but that's what's really going to give you those lovely blends of colour. That's that pale yellow again. And then your crimson. So the crimson and that pale yellow blend. I need a little bit of water just to help me. There we go. There's that pale yellow, crimson, and remember you just need to have that darker, that kind of bolder edge to those mountains, which really kind of it gives them the definition. And that more like that kind of almost, again, if you've got the magenta, Again, following the curves, that shape of the mountain, essentially. The brush strokes are really long, gliding. A little bit of water will help you. And just pick up a little bit of that pale yellow on your paintbrush. Make sure it blends with that purple. Again, I'm just going back over because where some of my paint has slightly overlapped. Just redefining the edge of that mountain there. So if you've got to go, that's absolutely fine. As I said, we don't usually do it, but I will for this one because there's a lot to it. I'll send you through a link. But if you can stay and you want to stay and you want to continue painting, absolutely fine. We're not too far off now. I'm just going to make that little bit of that mountain just a little bit darker with the purple there. So just adding a tiny bit of purple just at there. Just there's a little bit of kind of shadow cast on there. And the sky is the same thing as we did right at the beginning. That soft yellow. Kind of give that little mountain almost a bit of a glow. So just kind of follow the line of that. Not here, just here. See that little kind of glow almost. And I'll lay down some white. Work some blue into there, but again, following basically the kind of shape you've got left now. So into that wet white, work some blue. A little bit of water just to help it on its way. A little bit of water. As soon as you feel your paintbrush is sticking, kind of dragging, just a tiny little bit of water. Not too much. And the sky is a little darker on this side, so I'm just going to do my blue as it is, apply the blue as it is. And just a little bit darker at the top of that sky. And again, I'm just going to use a tiny bit of water just to help me blend. Just using those lovely long, sweeping, very kind of Georgia O'Keeffe brush strokes. So everything blends and smooths out and so your trees, now you could take your time with these and you could draw them out first of all, but you will want to use a round brush for your trees. I'm not suggesting you rush and try and do them now. You could draw the shapes out first of all, or if you're feeling particularly brave, you could kind of go for painting them. Over the top of the painting like that. It's kind of a circle, and then some of them have this kind of almost like a teardrop shape that's kind of being sucked inwards this way. I'm going to mix up a yellow green on my palette as well, so I've just got a little bit of a brighter green because some of those trees are a little bit brighter in their colour. Again, so paint a circle and then give it a little tail that just comes towards that horizon line. So if you wanted to be really precise, you'd probably want to draw these out first, so you know you can kind of count how many are there. And I'm just going between that darker green and the yellow green, the lighter green that I've mixed up. And you'll have to look closely at these trees because there's even like some white in some of them. Some of them are slightly paler green. So it'd be really worth kind of having, you know, having a look at this on another device or printing the picture off if you can, and having it as reference or having it to refer to whilst you paint it. It's kind of chipped into that yellow a little bit, so I'm just going to blend that out. Some of the trees aren't even green. There's some red and purple colours coming through there. I'm not suggesting you keep up with me at all. I'm just going to get through this so I'm finished. But when you get to this bit, you can just take your time. And the thing about this is you can come back to this another day even, you know, if you need to still do the trees, they don't have to be done because you can work over the acrylic. There's a paler green one there. So these become really little abstract forms, hard, you know, not obviously trees. Another little kind of crimson tree tucked behind there. So I'm just making my way across. Round brush will give you really nice little circles. Just kind of a little, just gently circle the brush. Don't push down though, you're just wanting to use, really just use the tip of that brush. Pink tree there. So as I said, if you'd rather, you could pencil these out first because you can pencil over your acrylic, that's fine. Just keep the pencil lines nice and light. Bit of pink in that one there. And at the time she was kind of in this area, kind of autumn to springtime. So these kind of little glimpses of these purples and reds we see on the trees could very well be, you know, the turning of the leaves. I know, sorry, yeah, you checking I haven't fallen into a black hole. Slightly underestimated. We're almost done. So lovelies, I'm aiming for like 10 more minutes, so please don't rush. You don't have to be keeping up. Well, I'll send you, as I said, I'll there's a bit of an exception this one. I'll send a link. So when you do the reflection of the trees, they start, can you see you've got that kind of creamy line, black, then the blue, then that line of trees starts. So it's not right up against the black, it's just under that darker blue strip that you've painted in there. And they don't start directly under here, do they? Can you see they're in line almost with this kind of pinky tree here? So they start, the reflection starts after this first block of trees. And the colours in the water of the trees, so remember I said like those darker, the darker colours of the trees are appearing a bit lighter, a bit brighter in the reflection. So you really kind of want to be adding whites. So if you're doing any red, then actually you want to be adding white so it becomes pink. I'll show you. And you want to be adding white to that green to make a kind of mint green, and you want to add yellow to make kind of nice light shades of green as well. So what are quite dark red colours up here are slightly more pink in the reflection. So little circles and then these kind of little tails, like stretched little teardrops really in a so my greens are becoming much more like a mint green. Colours are becoming just a bit more kind of pastel-y, I guess, with that addition of the whites. Another pink tree. So put that pink down first. You can kind of colour mix. Again, if you're confident enough to, you can kind of colour mix on the as you go. And the reflection of the trees become really abstract, you know, really kind of abstracted little shapes. But that's what happens with a reflection, isn't it? You know, things become distorted. That's what's happening here. Now, of course, you've got the option if you haven't got to the trees yet, you don't have to put them in. If you opt for just to keep the mountains and that really strong horizon line without the addition of those trees, absolutely fine. Don't have to kind of replicate what's there exactly. I've got some little pink trees that just right out, almost rolling off the edge of the painting. So I'm just mixing pink, white, actually on the canvas. Beauty of acrylic, you know, if when it's dry and your colour's a little darker than you wanted, just go over it. So you're looking at this kind of shape for your trees. So I've been painting the circle first. And you can just do that kind of spiraling motion, even on a smaller scale. You just do it tiny like that. And then adding a bit of water, kind of adding just a little kind of tail to it. It's kind of like a kind of warped teardrop shape. It's as if it's getting sucked kind of that way. So if you were drawing that, you'd do a circle and that. So you could do that. You could draw those kind of shapes. And then paint them in, or if you're feeling a bit confident and you want to kind of paint like do it as Georgia O'Keeffe would have done, you can paint those shapes straight off the bat. Right, lovelies. I'm going to stop the recording. Very well done, if you're still with me.